Good morning, my Teaserking family. Took me 3 tries to finally get on. Now, before you freak out too much, yes, gold's down to 31.80, which is unbelievable. No reason for it. There's no gold being sold. Um, so it's all bullshit, as we know. 31.80 down another $63, and there hasn't been 1 ounce of gold sold. How can that happen, right? And yet Bitcoin was up. It was like 104 or something. Let's see where Bitcoin's at now. The fake. Let's look at the fake currency. 103,239. Why is that going up? You're buying nothing, and gold's going down. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason for either. So 31.81. Silver 32.22. Who cares? I mean, it's like price fixed. Let's look at the Dow. Down 58. Not sure what's going on there. How it's at 42,000 is the biggest joke in the world. I was talking a lot about the Big Short and attack on Wall Street and all that yesterday, and this is exactly why you watch these movies. I mean, they're really a joke. The government does what it wants as long as it can. So July 1st, when we go Basel III, and now they have to keep reserves for the gold, which they don't have, they won't be able to keep doing these derivatives. So this, to me, in my gut, and remember, I'm an INFJ. This is all bullshit. May 14th. It's not the end of the month. But what I'm noticing is China's not buying. China's selling too. I would think we would see a lot of up derivatives the rest of the day and tomorrow, being how this is so low. Now, again, the whole point of this is to buy gold cheaper. Because the market is not involved in the price, meaning if I go buy Miro Lemieux, I'm going to sell it. What are you going to pay for me? That's a market. Somebody buying this card from me when I sell it is a market. But you don't have a market in gold and silver. People could buy and buy and buy, and it's not going to move the price. And it's amazing that how many people think that's the case. Oh, let's do a silver squeeze. You're not going to move the price because it's not on the market. It's not a free market. And this is why people don't buy it. They see, well, gold's not going anywhere. Or a better case is silver. Silver's not moving. So why should I buy it? It doesn't move. Basically, the bullion banks don't want it to move, so they keep putting derivatives in. But there's no reason for it. The economy didn't get better. The inflation is not any better. Trump's in Saudi Arabia now. Who knows what he's selling? I see Larry Fink there. I'm like, oh, great. That's not a good sign. But there's no reason to be selling gold. So we know it's strictly derivatives. And again, it's to get the price down. So what I think is going to happen, I think what's setting up to happen is there's going to be a lot of buying going on. And the derivatives lower the price because it's not the market. So whatever the derivative lowers the price to is what these idiots think is the price. But we know that's not true. So now it's 31.80. I can't believe it's 31, right? It was 33 going to 34, going to 35. And all these derivatives dropping it short is really they're trying to get out of positions that they have at 3,100 or 3,200. Now, if you're in at 3,200, now you can sell that position. But then you got to come up with the physical gold. That's July 1st, and they're going to need a lot of gold that they don't have. So they're trying to put the price down to buy gold. That's what this is. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. This is all options shorting it, and the buyers, for some reason, aren't there, or they're there and they're just wanting to, oh, let's go lower. We're going to buy it. We know all these central banks are buying it. We know all the 40 countries in BRICS are buying it. So they're buying the real, but COMEX is not the real price of physical gold. So remember that. So to quote some movie, War Games, and they're looking at the nuclear war, it's all a simulation. It's just a game. That's what this is. This is not real. This is not the real price of gold. This is the paper price of gold. This is the derivative price of gold. And July 1st, this will be gone. They'll have to have physical, and when they do this bullshit, they'll have to pay up in gold, which they won't be able to do because there's not a lot left, if any. So I just think they're going to buy. I think all the countries are going broke. If not, they are broke. They might be selling gold to get into, they're selling these derivatives to make money because they are broke. Again, we know it's bad. As I put in the title, tariffs always destroy. There's never a time a tariff has helped. Yeah, maybe in the 1800s, we didn't want to pay Britain, and it was done on tariffs, but that was a whole different situation, and it was 10% tariffs, but there wasn't a lot of free trade, and you're back where you got to ship everything on the boat, and it's not like today. But tariffs make it more expensive. And therefore, you're in a depression, basically. They can't help the economy because the way economy works is you figure out the price. All right, I'm Canadian Club. This cost me $40 to make per bottle because I'm selling 10,000 cases. So 10,000 bottles. I don't know how many in a case, 12 in a case. There's 12,000, So it's $30 a bottle is my cost, and I can sell it for 50. This is how business works. But if you put a tariff on it, my cost goes from 30 to 60. If my cost goes from 30 to 60, means I got to sell it for 75, which I can because the market won't let me. So in that case, I'm fucked. And I got to lay off people. I can't sell it. I got to close down or, just sell it at a reduced price. Anyway, it's no good. Nothing good can come out of a tariff, which is a price increase. There is no such thing as a trade imbalance because I am giving you money for the goods. That's the trade. So how is it an imbalance? You sold me $1 trillion worth of goods and I gave you $1 trillion worth of money. It's a balanced trade. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, I can't sell cars in China because you have a tariff on the cars. Well, maybe, but who gives a shit? I'm not worried about selling to China if I can even compete with China. So it's non-competitive. Well, you guys do that here all the time. You have a monopoly on money printing. You force people with your FX and everything. So curious what Trump's doing in Saudi Arabia with the BRICS country, begging their prince to, I don't know, Larry thinks they're trying to sell him annuities or whatever the fuck he's trying to do. Then some other idiots I saw that I didn't know who they were. But, they went to China and they go to Russia and Saudi's on the China-Russia team. He's on BRICS. He's not, he's like, well, let's see, I can get worthless U.S. money and that. See, so everybody knows the dollar's worthless. So I think they should be buying gold, and they probably are, but probably the rich want to buy the gold, so they're pushing the price down so the rich can get it cheaper because they're too stupid to have bought it at 1800 like we did. So that's all I think is happening here. There's nothing going on with gold. Gold's still gold. It's still the best thing they have. I was watching Ray Dalio, who I hate. He's an idiot. He keeps talking in patterns and, like you can pattern everything. You can't do trend analysis when the variables change. That's BRICS. So he's saying, well, have a diversified portfolio. No, not now. You don't want a diversified portfolio. The stocks and the bonds, and they're all going to go down, and the real estate. All the paper assets are going to go down. We know that. So why would we want to be in them? Not that we can trust stocks in the first place. Bitcoin isn't real, so I don't want to be there, and I don't care how much it goes to. It's not real. I just ignore it. It doesn't. It's not real. You can't see it. I can't wait for all the people that get crushed in Bitcoin, thinking it's real. Yeah, I have this glass of water. Do I hear 100,000 for it? Anyway, that's how I view it. So all tariffs do is raise costs. They should be free trade. So we know free trade works. Why are we not doing free trade? Well, if China is tariffing us on what? What do we sell? Cars, maybe? Well, we don't sell cars to them. We move the plants there. So Ford and GM have plants in China, as does Apple and does Nike and several other companies. I'm sure there's chips and computers and phones and stuff like that. So you're collapsing the economy with the tariffs. Now you're gonna maybe we'll take them, but they weren't going up. They were going from 140% to like 80 or 90%. And then who knows if it's on every product? Oh wait, Apple needs okay. Well, we'll take it off of Apple and Amazon and some of the Microsoft. Okay. Why are they taking it off? Because it knows that it hurts the economy. So I don't know what Trump's doing in this Bassett. He's an idiot. He's a Soros guy. And it's going right off the Soros playbook. We're going to fuck America. And they're doing a good job at it. I do have some Stossel videos. I told you yesterday I'll show you. Let's go through baseball and basketball first, and then we'll get to that. Basketball, I guess the guy on Boston, Jack Tatum, has hurt his Achilles. Who cares? I don't know who he is. So that should affect Boston today. Let's look at yesterday. I was red hot in baseball. So my first pick, Milwaukee over 9, and it's 2-0 Cleveland, so the guy with the 3.70 shuts out Milwaukee, and the guy with the 4.59 gives up 2 runs to Cleveland. Yeah, that makes sense. There was a few games I saw that the starting pitcher pitched 1 inning. The Tiger game, there was another game, I think San Diego. The starter pitches 1 inning, and then you can't even really look at the ERA if the guy's going to pitch 1 inning. 4.59 for 9 innings, not for 1. Minnesota was postponed. Okay, the White Sox beat Cincinnati 5-1. I didn't bet it because it was too high. This is a game that I marked as fixed. Cincinnati had a real strong pitcher go, and the White Sox had a terrible pitcher, and they have no hitting. This, to me, is a fixed game. So Chicago wins 5-1. So it went 1-1 into the 9th. They gave up 4. But let's take a look at why it's fixed. So we go into the box score, and we can understand how the manager fixes the games. Oh, my God. All right. So let's look at Cincinnati. Their center fielder, a 274 hitter, bats once, strikes out, and then they bring in a 167 hitter who bats once, and he walks once. Something's not here because there should be 4 at bats because the next hitter hit 4 times. So I don't know what's going on with the center fielder, but the 274 guy bats 1 time, strikes out, and then Jesus, and then the backup center fielder with the 167 average goes 1 for 1 and a walk. All right. Then you got the third baseman, 284. Okay. Shortstop hitting 250. Okay. Left fielder hitting 308. Okay. But then you got the catcher hitting 206. The first baseman hitting 190. Then you've got the DH hitting 276. Lee Trevino, the pinch hit for him with the 307. And then you got the 2 guys at the bottom, the second baseman hitting 168 and the right fielder hitting 176. 2 minor leaguers. So in their lineup, the one guy doesn't hit. So you got to say 167. So let's look at the hitting. You got 1, 2, 3. You got 3 guys that hit. Cincinnati, you had 3 guys that could hit. I don't really count the 250 guy, but how many bad guys did you have? A 160, a 206, a 190, a 168, and a 1. You had 5 guys, 167, 176, 168, 190, and 206. You had 5 guys that couldn't hit 207. When I look at my book, Cincinnati has only 3 bad hitters. They have 5 good hitters and 3 bad hitters. I take Cincinnati. Where's all the hitters? You end up with a lineup of 167, 206, 190, 168, 176. You put 5 pigs in there. That's how you fix a game. The manager puts this lineup out. The 274 hitter he takes out, right? The leadoff hitter, he takes him out for a 167 hitter. The 284 hitter goes 0 for 4. You have a 250 hitter, which is neither. You have a 308 hitter goes 0 for 4. A 276 hitter goes 0 for 3. You didn't play Lee Trevino, who hits 307. He was a pinch hitter. Why didn't he play? Why would you take your leadoff hitter out? Then we go to pitching. The pitcher for Chicago, Elshart, 467, pitches 1 inning. Then Cannon comes in with the 3.60 ERA, pitches 6 innings. Well, wait a minute. Why is he coming in the second inning and not the first? Why isn't he starting the game? Again, they're monkeying around. And then the bullpen with the 420, a 225, and a 450. And they hold this great Cincinnati lineup with 5 shit hitters out there. Then Abbott for Cincinnati with the 2.10 ERA gives up 1 run. Okay. Then you go to Ashcraft, 257. You go to Santilia, 129. But then in the 9th inning and the 10th, well, I guess the 10th, you got Pagan, who has a 4.05 ERA. So wait a minute, you had a 1.29 ERA pitch the 8th inning and a 1.42 come in the 10th, but you pitch a 4.05 pitcher. That's how the manager fixes a game. And this game was clearly fixed. There's no way the White Sox with their – well, let's look at the White Sox hitting. I don't think we talked about it. They start with a 242 hitter, a 220. Okay, here's the next step. You've got a 303 hitter. I don't know where Chicago got that guy from. The catcher batting third, and then L. Robert, the center fielder, who's hitting 179. So what do? The catcher goes 3 for 4 and a walk. Why are you pitching to the catcher when after him is a 179 hitter and a 192 hitter? What are you doing? So you got 221, 179, 192, 224. I forget the 220 was a pinch hitter. 100 and 167 and a 193. Look at these hitters. 242, then 221. Okay, one guy who hits 300, and you let him get 3 hits and a walk. 179, 192. The 266 hitter gets 2 hits. Amazing how that happens, right? And then 100, and then 193, 167, and then 200, or 193. So there's like, it's hard to line it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hitters hitting under 225 for Chicago White Sox. Vargas gets a 3-run homer, I guess, in the 10th inning to win the game for him. He was 2 for 5. He's hitting 221. Okay, you get beat by that. How does Cincinnati lose this game? So I got Cincinnati with 5 hitters and 3 bad hitters, and yet they only played 3 hitters and had 6 bad hitters. What's going on? Oh, they were a 250 favorites. We can only play, when it's a big line, then we're going to play our 200 hitters. And we're going to take our leadoff hitter out of the game. He batted 1 time. Maybe he got hurt, but who knows? Your pitcher is pitching to the guy. There's 2 guys on the team on the White Sox that can hit, and you're pitching to him. What are you doing? Just walk them. Because the guys hitting 170 behind them aren't going to hit. That's why they're hitting 170. This is a clear case of a fixed game. So Cincinnati, I had marked as a fix. I didn't bet them. I played them because they should have been played. All right. Detroit, Boston, 10-9. Detroit, I had over 8.5. Winner. Philly gets postponed. Toronto over 8. They play 11-9 with Tampa. That's a winner. I play the METS, Mets. They win 2-1 against Pittsburgh. That's a winner. Another game I thought would be fixed or could be fixed was Atlanta, but they won 5-2. I won with them. The Cubbies over 8. I thought I lost that game. I win. They win 5-4. Texas over 8, and they've been struggling, so that was a loser. KC loses to Houston 2-1. San Diego 6-4. That's a winner. The Yankees under 7.5. That was my lock. The Yankees, Seattle, and that was good. The other one I think was the Cubs. The Cubs in Miami, I think. Yeah, the Cubs in Miami, high scoring 9. That was one lock over 8. San Diego and California was my other lock. San Diego 6-4, and then Yankees under with Max Fried going against Dylan Cease 2-1 in 11 innings. So that was, there you go. The Yankees won under. Arizona under 7.5. What the fuck happened here? 10-6 San Francisco. Let's take a look at that game. And my last big bet was Oakland over 9.5, and they win 11-1 over the Dodgers. Wow. And I marked that as a fixed game, and it looks like it was. The fix wasn't the over. The fix was the Dodgers were like a 300, and they lose 11-1. It's 2 fixed games there that I circled. The Dodgers and Cincinnati, and both lost big. Let's go to the Niners, Arizona. What am I doing going under 7.5 in this game? This is how we learn. You look at why you lost. This game was over in the second inning. It was 3-0 for Arizona, 4-3 Frisco. So after 2 innings, it's 7, and you can only give up 7.5. So let's see what happened to the box score, Batman. Arizona. I've got Arizona, 5 hitters, and I have, this was against the 49ers, I believe. Yeah, against the 49ers, who I have 3 hitters. So it must have been the pitching that led us to go under, obviously, because I wouldn't just go over. So 240 hitter, Arizona 285. Why is your DH hitting 217 and you're batting him third? Anybody tell me that? Then they go to a pinch hitter hitting 298. Maybe the pinch hitter should have been the DA hitting 298. Then you got a 203. Jesus Christ. Hitting in the 1, 2, 3 in the 4th spot, the guy's hitting 203. Then your 5th guy's 296, your 6th guy's 239, your 7th guy's 224, your 8th guy's hitting 0, and your 9th guy's hitting 224. So now you get the method of why the hell I went under in the game. And I don't know that I have 5 and 4. I believe I've got 1 and 2. I've got 2 hitters for Arizona now. Shitty hitters. I got a 217. I've got a 203 cleanup hitter, 224, a 0, and a 224. So I got 5 shit hitters. Now you can see based on the lineup the problems that we have with this, because you really have less that you can do. Let me check. I'm still on. I got a quick internet connection. But it was a different internet connection. Am I on? Am I on? I guess I'm on. Okay. So this is the problem. The managers keep changing things. So one lineup where they have 5, Arizona has 5 hitters and 4 bad hitters is now gone to, they got their third hitter's hitting 217. The cleanup hitter's hitting 203. And then you've got down by the end of the lineup, a left fielder hitting 224, a shortstop who's hitting 0, a center fielder hitting 224. There used to be the outfielders always hit 300 back in the day. So what do we got? We got one hitter, the right fielder, 285. We got a 296 first baseman, and that's it. They got two hitters. But they didn't before. They had 5 hitters. Where it happened? So did the shortstop with the 0 get hurt? Now they brought in this guy. But let's go to the 49ers. They got Yastrzemski, not Carl, but probably his son Mike, 3 for 4, 284, pretty good. Chapman hitting 213. We got Ramos hitting 283. We got Lee hitting 288. At least their cleanup hitters at 288. Flores 250. Shortstop hitting 225. First baseman hitting 157. Your first baseman. Your catcher hitting 179. See, I can stomach the catcher because that's a hard position. But your first baseman, he's a hitter that you just throw at first base. So they have 1, 2, 3. They got 3 hitters. That's what I have. And then terrible hitters, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 bad hitters. And a couple that are right there. A 250 and a 241, I don't count anywhere. So what possessed me to go under? But then how did this game get up? Well, the 284 hitter had 3 hits. The 288 hitter had 2 hits and 3 RBIs. The 225 hitter had 2 hits, 2 RBIs. And your 241, your ninth hitter, 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs, probably a grand slam. So why do they keep pitching to the 280 hitters? 3 for 4, 2 for 5. You just walk them. It's an intentional walk. All right. Only because the rest of the team can't hit. Arizona, Brendan Pfaadt pitched 4 innings, 3.73 ERA, gave up 6 hits and 4 runs, 3 walks. Then their next pitcher with a 6.23 ERA gives up 3 hits and 3 runs. And then you got a pitcher with a 12.71 ERA. He actually threw a shutout inning. And then your closer with the 15.83 ERA gives up 4 hits and 3 runs. So Brandon Pfaadt with the 3.73. Robbie Ray with the 3.04. Pitches 6 innings, gives up 7 hits and 3 runs. Not bad with the 3.04. Then their bullpen, 225, 137, 393. So that's what you expect out of their bullpen. Not sure why I went under. Again, I'm looking at the pitching and the hitting. The Niners win 10-6. But that's why I didn't bet that game. So let's look at the bets. Milwaukee over 9, lost. Detroit over 8.5, wins. Philly under 8, postponed. The METS, Mets, we hit 2 units. The Cubbies over 8. I thought I lost because it was like 4-1 and they won 5-4. So I win with the Cubbies, 3 units. Texas over 8.5, I lose 2 units. I hit San Diego, 2 units. I hit the Yankees under 7.5, 3 units. And I hit Oakland over 9.5, 3 units. So this was a great day. I go 0-1, 1-1. 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2. I go 6-2 yesterday. There you go. That's what I want. But I could easily have, San Diego came back to win. The Cubbies scored to win 5-4. I think they were down 4-1 in like the 8th inning. It was like, fuck. But you can see the problem. They changed the lineups. They pitched to the 300 hitter and not to the 100 hitter, right? If I got a guy hitting 150 and I got a guy hitting 300, the guy hitting 300 is not going to see a pitch. He isn't going to see anything. want the guy hitting 100 to hit. If he gets a hit, he gets a hit. But that's who I want to pitch to, not to the 300 guy. But again, the managers have their head up their ass. They're a big 300 favorite. All of a sudden, they bat 5 guys hitting under 200 at Cincinnati. What is that? Now let's see what we do today. If we'll look at their box score tomorrow or tonight and see how many good hitters are in there and how many bad hitters are in there. Oh, let's give everybody a rest when we're minus 320 on the money line. That's the only way to bet baseball is money line. So I'm laying 320. Well, this is the better thing about football. I know I got Tom Brady or I got Mahomes, Joe Burrow. Unless they're hurt or get hurt in the game, I got them. And if I got him, I'm betting Mahomes, and I know he's playing. He's not going to not play. But in baseball, all of a sudden, I pinch hit. The Tigers do that way too often. They got a guy hitting 280, 290, and they pinch hit him with a guy hitting 110 because he's a righty against the lefty. And we see how good that works. It never works because the guy's hitting 120 for a reason. The guy's hitting 300 for a reason. If you're telling me the guy hitting 300 is a lefty and can't hit lefties, what's he doing on the team? What kind of manager? I'll be right back. Well, back to Walmart. I got to get my dark chocolate. I got to get my my avocados. I just ate my last one. I don't have enough fruit. I don't usually get apples. Stay away from bananas, cherries. I do get the berries, blueberries, strawberries. But like now, I'm hungry. But I'm not. I'm going to have an omelet for lunch. But I can't cook an omelet while I'm teaching. That's why I make the pita bread. I can do that. All right. Let's go to baseball, which is going to start in 10 minutes. Minnesota and Baltimore. Minnesota 102, 8.5. Bailey over 4-1 with the 3.50 against Dean Kramer. 3-4 with the 5.24. Minnesota with a 4-4. If we believe the hitters are the right ones. Baltimore with 3-5. I like over. He's a good pitcher. Baltimore. See, this is where it's tough. The game's in Baltimore, so they're going to be better at home. Over's the better pitcher. Hitting both, they both kind of stink. 8.5. Well, we'll go Minnesota, but I don't like it to play it. St. Louis at Philly. Philly minus 185, 8.5. Could be a fixed game, 185. I think things over 250, you got to really keep an eye on. Philly minus 185, 8.5. Eric Fetty, 3-3 with the 3.86. Jesus Luzardo, 3-0 with the 2.11. Yeah, we'll go with Philly here. No bet. Philly probably plays a doubleheader today. They got rained out yesterday. Milwaukee, Cleveland, I had over 9. They didn't score. Milwaukee 102-8. Logan Henderson 1-0 with the 1.50 against Gavin Williams. 3-2 with the 4.38. The other factor is this Logan Henderson, who I've never heard of, a bullpenner, and then how many innings does he go? One. No, he's actually a starter. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run against Oakland. Wow, that's huge. Yeah, I like Milwaukee here with this guy. This guy looks like a good pitcher, but we'll see. Minnesota, Baltimore, game 2. So it starts 12:05. The second game's 3:35. I like when teams do that. Let your fans enjoy 2 games. Oh, sorry, we need to kick you out and have the game at night and fuck our own players, because our own players are going to be tired. They get there early to play game 1. Then you make them sit and do nothing for 3. They're not like going home. So the game, let's say it's a 1 o'clock game, ends at 4. And the next game's at 7. What are they doing? So you got your guys there probably at 9 o'clock in the morning till 7, 8 o'clock at night. You got to be kidding me. How do you think that helps your players? Wow, morons. We don't know the pitcher for game 2, so we can't play it. Arizona, Frisco, we just saw where Frisco dominated. Arizona's got a shit lineup, apparently. They're favored 105 and 8.5. Edward Rodriguez, 1-3 with the 6.86. Jordan Hicks, they hit the hell out of it. Let's go over in this game. So let's go San Francisco over 8.5. And we'll play this for 2 units. It was a big scoring game. And 2 terrible pitchers. The Yanks in Seattle, we hit the under, the lock of life. Max Fried against Ric Flair, and it came to what it was, 2-1. Yanks minus 118 and 8. Will Warren for the Yanks, 2-2 with the 4.75. Louis Castillo, 3-3 with the 3.95. It was a low-scoring game because of 2 great pitchers. Now you got a 4.75 and a 3.95. What do you do with it? Yankees. I'm going to go over today. Seattle's got the better pitcher. Both teams can hit. It's over 8, so we'll go over 8. No bet. St. Louis, Philadelphia. This is game 2. Sonny Gray, 4-1, 350 for St. Louis. Aaron Nola, who stinks, 1-6 with the 4.89. It's funny how the one game he wins, we bet against him. He's 0-5 and he wins. Then he loses the next game. Sonny Gray, who's decent. Philly, 135 favorite. I'm going to have to go over here, but Philly's they're not playing high-scoring games, so beware of that. Boston and Detroit played a 11-10 game yesterday. Detroit's having pitching problems. Their one starter, Montero, stinks. The Schoolbowl is not pitching well. This other guy, Joby, was not very good. And the other, Casey Mize is hurt with the hamstring. So, and then the other guy they got from the Dodgers, Jack somebody, he stinks too. So all of a sudden they have no pitching. Detroit 220-7. Hunter Dobbins 2-1 with the 2.78. Tarek Skubal 4-2 with the 2.08. And the pitcher keeps going. Let's look at this Hunter Dobbins guy. This is the key to the bet. 5 innings, 6 innings. Then he was off for 2 weeks, and then 5 innings and 6 innings. He's given up 2 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs to Minnie, and 0 to KC in 6 innings. Pretty good pitcher. Schoolboy, they shouldn't hit too much. The total's 7. This could be a fix too. Detroit minus 220. Well, it's hard to see with Schoolboy. You can't. I got to go under. I'm not going to play it. Detroit under 7, but I don't like it. Hunter Dobbins with the 278. But I see the game yesterday. It's 11-10. And Detroit's bullpen's starting to fall apart. It was up. They were up 2 or 3. No, they were up 6-4. Boston scored 2, tied it. And then at the top of the 10th, Boston scored 3, and the Tigers scored 4 or something in the 11th inning or 10th inning. I mean, it's crazy. Tampa Bay and Toronto. Toronto minus 160-8. Ryan Peapot, 2-4 with the 3.86. Chris Bassett, 3-2 with the 3.35. Well, what did they do yesterday? Toronto over 8-1. So we'll go Toronto over 8 again. No bet. Don't like it. Pitt and the Mets. The Mets minus 295. Okay, this is a fix possibility. Mets 295-8. Bailey Falter 2-3 with the 4.36 against Clay Holmes 5-1 with the 2.74. So we're going to take the METS Mets for 2 units. But this smells like a fix because it's minus 295. All of a sudden, the Mets don't bring their hitters. Lindor is off. Alonso's not playing. Shit like that. And all the 100 hitters play, and Clay Holmes pitches 2 innings. So we'll see. It should be the Mets, but we'll see. Cincinnati and the White Sox. Now we had the fixed game yesterday. Cincinnati lost. Cincinnati apparently without hitting. Davis Martin 1-4 with the 401. Nick Lodoto 3-3 with the 3.23. I'm going to go under. They didn't really. I'm not going to bet it though. Cincinnati under 9. Cincinnati's a 225 favorite. Terrible bullpen. All right. Washington and Atlanta. Atlanta minus 170-9. Mitchell Parker 3-3 with the 3.97. Bryce Elder 2-2 with the 4.97. This has got to be over. So let's go Atlanta over 9. I'm not finding a lot to bet. Miami and Chicago. This should be an over. Chicago 220, 7.5. Ryan Weathers 0-0 with an O. James Talon 2-2 with the 4.53. Who's this? Ryan Weathers. And he hasn't pitched this year. He is a starter. Okay. So first game of the year. He won't go long. I'm going to go over in this game. Cubs over 7.5, and we'll make this 2 units. How long is this Miami guy going to pitch? 2-3 innings? 4 innings? Italian's got a 4.53. I don't understand the 7.5. I don't understand that Chicago at 220. Colorado, Texas. Texas won, I believe, yesterday. Over 8. Didn't go over 8, but I think Texas won. Colorado can't hit. They have no hitting. Texas minus 220-9. Antonio Sanzalta 1-6 with the 5.77 against Patrick Corbin 2-2 with the 3.13. I'm going to go Texas just because Colorado sucks. I'll play it. I'll play it for 2 units just because we're betting against Colorado. 7-35. Kansas City, Houston. I believe Houston won yesterday. Houston minus 138.5. Michael Lorenzen 3-3 with the 3.57. Colton Gordon 0-0 with an 0-0. And and yet they're favored. How can they be favored? Colton Gordon from St. Pete, Florida, not St. Pete, Russia, where Darius from. No stats available. I don't know. I probably I'm going to take KC, but I'm not betting it. But I can't trust the guy who's never pitched before. California, San Diego. We had San Diego yesterday, 2 units, and it did win. Close game. San Diego minus 190 and 9. Kyle Hendricks 1 and 4 at the 530. Randy Vasquez 2 and 3 at the 376. Can either team hit? California is terrible. I'm going to take San Diego again, but no bet. In our last game, Oakland and the Dodgers minus 250, 8.5. Gunnar Hagelin for Oakland, 1-0 at the 238. Yashima Yamatutu, Mr. Fuji, 4 and 3 with the 180 for the Dodgers. Again, this is a fixed game as the Dodgers are minus 250. I'm going to play this game over because Oakland has like 7 hitters on the team. Oakland over 8.5. And I'll play this for 2 units because the Dodgers can hit and Oakland can hit. It's funny how the Dodgers can hit and all of a sudden they lose 11-1. You're like, they got like 6-7 hitters on their team. So let's go through this. Minnesota, which is about to start if they haven't. Philadelphia, Milwaukee, San Francisco over 8.5. The Yankees over 8. Philly over 8. Detroit under 7. Toronto over 8. The JETSs, that's Mets, 2 units. Cincinnati under 9. Atlanta over 9. The Cubbies over 7.5. Texas, Kansas City, San Diego, and Oakland over 8.5. There's 5 bets. I don't know how I found 5. The 49ers over 8.5. The Mets, the Cubbies over 7.5. Texas and Oakland over 8.5. I like San Diego, but I'm not betting them. But that would be another bet. Possible fixed games, the New York Mets and the Dodgers could be fixed. They're big numbers. Vegas needs them to lose. They lose. Vegas needs the price of gold to go down. The price of gold goes down. Funny how that works. All right, so that's baseball. Basketball playoffs. We go 1-1 yesterday. So Indy beats Cleveland. So Cleveland's down 3-1. Game 5 at home. They have to win or they're eliminated, and they lose 114-105. Cleveland was the 1 seed, 68 wins, and they won 1 game in the series. What the fuck's going on there, right? So we lose with Cleveland, and then we win with OKC. The same thing. They're laying 5. They were tied at 2-2, but this is game 5. Game 6 is at Denver, and then game 7 back at OKC. So they had to win, or they go down 3-2 and then go to Denver and they lose it. So they do win, and I think this series is back and forth. I think Denver won game 4. OKC wins game 5. So we hit OKC, and we lose with Cleveland. Cleveland was the proper bet. I mean, they're fucking down 3-1 at home for game 5. They have to win. Shows you there's no heart, bad coaching, bad players. The players are chokes. Now we come to the crux. The Knicks up 3-1. Boston, I don't know, Jack Tatum, if he's the best player, a good player, an all-star, a bench player. I don't know who Jack Tatum is, except for he played for Ohio State and the Oakland Raiders. Boston's a 4.5-point favorite, 207.5. Boston's in a must-win, but their players out. So what do you do with it? I don't know their team well enough to say, well, it won't matter or it will matter. But I'd have a hard time betting Boston here. But Boston's in a must win like Cleveland was. They're down 3-1, game 5 at home. They have to win. I'll leave it to you. My hunch is the Knicks will cover because of the injury. And that way they can explain it. But I don't understand. Boston 61-21, and they're down 3-1 to a Knicks team that's 51-31. It doesn't make any sense. I can't really bet Boston here because I don't trust them. They needed to win game 4, so I'm just gonna. I like the Knicks actually here. And Golden State, Minnesota. Minnesota is now 10.5 because Steph Curry's out. Mini League wins the series, is winning the series 3-1, can wrap it up today, game 5. They don't want Steph Curry, maybe comes back game 6. So I think Minnesota wins here. Hey, Prophet. Why did you have trouble finding me? I came on once. No, I tried and it didn't. It said, I'm going live for 2 minutes. So I disconnected. Then I came back on and said, you didn't try again. So I had to try again. So I had it 3 times, but I never really connected. Well, my connection got cut the first time, but I didn't. It said going live. So it never said you were live. Like, in other words, I see it says going live and then it says you're live. I never saw that the first time. It just said going live, but it never said you're live. So after 2 minutes of that, now I might have been live, but I didn't see it. So I disconnected, turned off my computer, and came back on. I assume it's like a memory thing. Yeah, that's what it was buffering, but then I killed it. So that happens once in a while where the next step is going live and then you're live. And sometimes I get all bubbles and I know you can't hear me, so I got to kill it. But yeah. But I don't think I ever went live because it never said that. Anyway, so Golden State, Minnesota. I think we'll take Minnesota. Golden State, do or die, but I don't know. Minnesota, but they're at home. I don't know anything with basketball now. The first round was good. It was teams needed it. Now what I'm missing is the injuries. Jack Tatum, is he a superstar? Is he? I mean, I don't know how good he is, but I think he's one of Boston's key players. And with him out with the Achilles, apparently he's out for a whole year. Marino hit his Achilles. He was out for a year. Isaiah, that's what ended his career, was he hit his Achilles. So, yeah, it's probably the one injury that's a real tough one, and the knee injury. Okay, so that's sports. All right, I'm going to take you through some John Stossel. First, we're going to look at China.
My Spectrum services help simplify my day, and it helps our business just run really smoothly.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy.
Nobody cares.
I look forward to you.
Shops. This is Zhongting Street. You say the May Day holiday is almost here. Where have all the people in Zhengzhou, a city with a population of 13 million, gone? After dinner today, I went shopping downstairs from my house. You can see that no one is in sight in the mall, and there are more stores than customers. I went to a suit shop and the boss told me that there has been no one in the mall recently, and the business is getting worse day by day. Then I asked him why they were still selling at such high prices. The boss said he has to get the most from any customer who comes in, otherwise he couldn't even pay the rent. The rent fee is so high. So I would like to ask, where have all the people gone in our city of Zhengzhou with a population of 13 million? Let me show you. Walking out of the train station is the second road. People who have been to Zhengzhou know how
So basically, there's nobody there. I don't know how big a city. 13 million. I don't know how big that is. New York's 8 or 10 million. Pretty big city. Now, see, the guy gets it wrong. What's the first thing the guy with selling the suits does wrong? Well, I got to get the most I can to pay rent. What's your market? You're over the market. So my guess is these idiots don't know how to run businesses. So their prices are real high. Nobody wants to shop there. To run a business, again, this cost me 30, I sell it for 50. Well, my rent's not, I really owe rent, so I'm going to have to sell this for 90. I don't have customers at 90. I got customers at 50. I don't have customers at 90. It's the most simple thing of economics. Your market is here. I will pay you $30 for ribs. Well, I need to pay rent. My expenses are up, so I'm going to charge 45. There's nobody home at 45. You have to sell them at 30. This is the basic fundamental thing of business, to sell to your market. You must understand your market and what they're willing to pay. And if you try to sell over the market, you're not going to sell. Well, we need money. Well, but nobody's going to buy overpayment. You're too expensive. It's not a fair trade for people. I'm not going to give you, let's say this card's $1,000. Okay, profit. Give me 10,000 for it. You go, it's not worth it. It's not a fair trade to me. It's, you want too much for this card. What is this? Right? That's not a fair trade. A fair trade is profit says, yes, I'll give you 1,000 for the card. And I go, yeah, well, I'll take 1,000 for the card. But if I want to start charging 5,000, but it's only worth 1,000, nobody's going to give it to me. So the guy can't sell his suit because nobody in the right mind is going to give him more value because it's not a fair trade anymore. People in business must understand what a fair trade is. It's just like football betting. It's like baseball betting. You make the line minus 300 and I tell you it's a fixed game, and I tell you that it's not a fair bet. If you make Kansas City 21 points over the Lions, it's spread's too high. Right? I either take the dog or I can't bet the favorite. Your spread's too high, it's over market. Everything is about market. It's about fair trade. Now in the NFL, what should happen is people should bet the 21 and knock it down to 14. And then, okay, now you start getting the 14 betting. And they're going, okay, that's a fair price. 21 was too high. And they do a lot with over-unders. They make the total 75, two explosive offenses in college. And it's like, I can't bet the game. You made it. I'll go up to 69. I'm not going to 75. You nailed every game in the first round. Yes, I did. This has been a little bit tricky, although I did hit some, but I hit OKC yesterday, but the other game, Cleveland, didn't show up. So the system works. Again, you're getting injured. Steph Curry got hurt. Now this Jack Tatum gets hurt. Okay, well, you can't. That's why you lost on an injury. Well, that's ridiculous. You can't count that. But we'll see. I think next round will be better because I'll have a better feel after so many. And the teams should be more even. When they're even, it's bet the loser back a lot. Here, Indy basically sweeps Cleveland, and then you got the Knicks are going to beat Boston 4-1. I mean, you got to be kidding. Minnesota will beat Golden State 4-1, and OKC and Denver is the only competitive series. So, it's the theory, and that's all it is. So again, whatever you're doing, you've got to have the market. It's got to be a fair trade. So it's Canadian Club. It's a Lemieux rookie card. It's a Willie Mays card, a Mickey Mantle card. I'll pay you what I feel it's worth. And on eBay, I can see what other people have thought it was worth to get a guide for it. And that's what you do. And that's all you can do is just kind of go off of the guide and try to get what's happening there. But so when the guy's trying to sell a suit, well, I need more money to pay my rent. I'm not going to pay that much, right? I'm not going to pay $45 for ribs because you need to pay your rent. Not going to happen. Not, I there's a price I will pay, but I need my money to pay my rent. And if it's too expensive, then I'm not going to pay it. That's why I go to Walmart for avocados. They're $1. They're $2.95 at Meijer's now. They're the bigger ones, but I just need to eat. I'll eat the medium ones at Walmart. It's fine, and they're $1, so I can have two of them for the $2.95 that Meijer's is making. They're definitely two little ones are more than the big one that they're selling. But that's what the market is. It's the buyer and the seller have to come to a conclusion where it's fair for both parties. That's what free trade is. So as I was talking about, these sanctions are death because you're destroying the market. Basically, what Trump's doing is destroying the market, right? He's making China, he's adding costs to China that isn't part of their cost structure. Oh, wait, we got to add, $500 for tariffs. So that's not in my, I can't raise my price to cover the $500. Let's say it's a TV set. Well, okay, I'm selling them for $200 at Walmart. And now you're going to tariff me $100. Now I can't sell it for $2 because now my costs are $2. So you're raising my costs, which means I have to raise my price or not sell, which means, but the market won't bear it. So you've killed the market. And that's what Trump's doing in as clear of English as I can say is he's fucking the markets up. When you raise the cost, can the market bear raising the price? And the answer is usually no. I can't raise my price because my market will give me 10. I can't charge them 20. I don't have a market at 20. So I can sell this card, let's say for $1,000, Lemieux rookie card. Okay, fine. I've got a market. Where's my market for this? Okay, let's say $1,000. You now hit me with tariffs and taxes, all this other bullshit, and now I gotta charge $2,000 just to make some money on it. But my market's $1,000. You've destroyed my market. I cannot sell this card because I have to charge $2,000, which I can't do. Fortunately, on eBay, you can set the price wherever you want. So that's the beauty of it. But with tariffs, it's more manufacturing. So China, so you're killing so you can't kill my market. There's buyers at certain prices. There's buyers. And the question is, do I want to sell it for that price? The Montana rookie at 110, I'm happy. The Eiserman card, yeah, if I could get 50,000 for this, I'd sell it in a heartbeat. Right? A 1-of-1 card. I would sell this in a heartbeat for 50,000. I don't know what the fair price is because how can you have a market in a card that there's only one of? Nobody else could have sold it, so you don't know. So you're figuring out your market and you've done your cost analysis, and then here's what we got to charge. Is there a market for that? But the guy selling suits to get his rent doesn't understand that. He cannot sell his suits higher unless he has a market for it. Are people going to pay more for a suit? Well, if nobody's in the building and nobody's in the mall, the chances of getting somebody to overpay for a suit are slim and none. Because let's face it, what ends up happening is they don't have money either, right? Because they're not working. And so I don't have money to go spend more on something. I'm trying to cut my cost. So you'll never sell a suit. You're going to have to eat your rent, or you're going to have to figure out what your market's at, sell your suit at your market, and hopefully you make money at it. And if you don't, you need to go out of business. That's the bottom line. All right. Here are the effects of the tariff, the U.S. ports collapsing.
A staggering $14 billion worth of cargo has vanished from the Port of Los Angeles, and the port is facing an unprecedented drop in shipments. The catalyst for this disruption? A sharp escalation in tariffs set off by President Trump's decision on April 2nd to raise duties on Chinese goods to 145%. This move has triggered a chain reaction that has severely disrupted trade flows between China and the United States.
It's killing markets.
The consequences are already being felt. This isn't speculation. It's happening right now. 14 billion in cargo was wiped out overnight, and the reason wasn't a natural disaster, strike, or cyber attack. It was the result of a single economic decision. This tariff hike has sent shockwaves through the global supply chain, especially at the Port of Los Angeles, which is now bracing for a 35% drop in cargo volume year over year. Gene Soroka, the Port of Los Angeles' executive director, confirmed that the port system, which tracks real-time cargo data, has projected a $10 billion shortfall in merchandise due to the tariff escalation. Major U.S. retailers have already halted all shipments from China, and if the goods aren't coming in, there's no telling how much worse things will get for American businesses. According to shipping data reviewed by Bloomberg, there has been a 40% decrease in outbound shipments from China to the U.S. West Coast since early April. This includes about 320,000 containers that were booked but are now stuck at their point of origin. These cancellations aren't hypothetical. They're happening right now, reshaping the freight landscape. One of the largest shipping companies, Hapag-Lloyd, reported a 30% drop in China to U.S. bookings in just 1 week. The question now is, did the tariff escalation aim to force China to negotiate, or has it led to a full-blown logistics blockade? For companies like Gerson's Companies, a third-generation supplier based in Kansas that relies on China for more than half of its inventory, the situation is a ticking time bomb. CEO Jim Gerson has over 250 containers stuck in transit, with products valued in the tens of millions of dollars. With seasonal inventory like Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas products, the window to ship is narrow. If shipments miss that window, the goods are worthless. This isn't just a financial problem, it's a calendar crisis. Retailers like Walmart and Target are already warning that customers could face higher prices and fewer choices by mid-year. With the slowdown, the U.S. is
Well, not higher prices. Again, you cannot just raise prices. Like I see Coke, they raised it to $3.50, and then I see 2 days later it's 2 for $5. So it went down. If you buy 2 of them, it went down to $2.50, not the $3 it was at. So I hate when they just go ahead and say they're going to raise prices. You can't. If the market says I'm not paying them, go fuck off. But I substitute the goods. You want to make a New York strip $20? I'll buy the Delmonico, or I'll buy or I'll buy ribs, or I'll buy chicken. I'm easy. But one thing I'm not overpaying, or in my mind, what I feel a fair trade is. I don't feel $20 for New York strips a fair trade. But that shows you how the value of the dollar is going out. If they need more dollars to get their New York strips, it's because the value of the dollar is dropping. And that's what I try to teach on the inflation part. And that's what you're getting. So all these tariffs are just raising the cost of the Chinese. The problem is the guy from Kansas here. What's the problem? He's not got all his goods come from China. No. You can't do that. You've got to have substitutes. You better have Vietnam, China, India, You got to have more than one option. Otherwise, you're in trouble. I do that with a couple girlfriends. If one says, fuck off, okay, fine, goodbye. That's the point of it. You always need options. You always need substitute goods. And that's kind of bringing economics to girls. But anything, I mean, I shop at Myers, I go to Walmart. I can get avocados cheaper and dark chocolate cheaper. So I substitute. Now you can see the containers, they're not arriving. That's going to be a lot of layoffs because the people who are managing the containers aren't going to be working because there's no containers to manage. There's not going to be inventory coming in, so people can't sell. They're going to lay off. So there'll be more layoffs, be more people out of work, more companies closing, which gives us less substitute and less options, which is not what we want. The beauty of America is the competition allowed you to have 20 stores to go to, all these different grocery stores. That's why you don't want a monopoly. You've got to have options so you can substitute. I've talked about gold today, and just to reconfirm, it is just paper gold being derivative, being sold, and in no way reflects the true value of the physical gold. People that say physical gold doesn't go up are full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. So why is gold going down? Why is paper gold going down? Because it's not the dollar going up and gold going down. It's the derivatives going down, driving the price down so they can buy more. We're not idiots. We understand the game perfectly. You do derivatives to lower the price so you can buy. Not that hard. First grade math. The cheaper it is, the more you buy. The biggest countries need to buy. So they're just lowering their price, and probably the U.S. realizes they're fucked. Everybody knows the dollar's gone. We have one choice to buy dollars, but they're going, okay, let's short it, everybody. Let's get the price down, then we can buy. And we'll all buy it, whatever. That's what's happening. So what you're doing is by interfering with China, you're cutting away the supply force, but you're also, by doing that, you're not set up with the substitute. I buy from China and that's it. And now I can't buy from them anymore. I mean, does Trump have any brains in his head? Or is he listening to the Scott George Soros guy who wants to bankrupt the U.S. and Trump's going along with it for some strange reason? We're going to be the richest country in Liberation Day. Yeah, you're putting us in big, big fucking trouble, Trump. You're killing us, right? You're killing the economy. The dollar's already gone. You don't have any gold to go back on. And now you're killing all the things because you want everybody to buy American, because you think, well, if we have all American companies, then I can pay off my $37 trillion debt. Well, guess what, son? There's no way you could pay off your $37 trillion debt. It's not happening. The only chance to pay it off is with gold, and to let gold run to 20, 30,000 an ounce, and you got to get enough gold to pay it off, and you don't. So it was asked, well, who do we owe the money to? And it's a lot of pensions, 401k plans, and China, and people who buy our bonds. And it was funny on there. It said, oh, well, the Federal Reserve. Why do we owe money to the Federal Reserve? Because they're the ones buying our bonds because nobody wants to buy them. That's because they're not worth anything. So we got big problems with our inflation, which most of these idiots don't know what it is. Well, its prices are under control, interest rates. What a bunch of butt. This is just so clueless. Anyway, so here's the ports closed, 14 billion in trade blocked. How does that help? Who does that help? That doesn't help anybody. You're hurting the Chinese. So they got to go out of business. So who's going to sell us products? You fucking idiots. Oh my God. All right. Here's John Stossel, very good on tariffs. Just to reiterate what I tell you, a little different view, the same concept, but he's good at it. So let's.
Big time savings are going on now at Mavis Tire. Get great deals on tires and brakes and save.
This is Liberation Day. The day American industry was reborn.
Industry will be reborn, says President Trump, because of his tariffs.
Tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary.
Tariffs, he says, punish countries that unfairly sell us cheap stuff.
We've been ripped off by every country all over the world. They're laughing at us.
What is he talking about?
But when his tariffs take effect,
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country.
but this is just wrong. And he should know that. Not just because it's basic economics, but because last time he was president, he raised tariffs on steel. And the result?
He lost a lot of jobs.
Okay, that's MSNBC. But even a broken clock is right twice a day. Trump's tariffs did lead American steelmakers to hire 1,000 more people. Great. But more companies make things out of steel, and they lost 75,000 jobs. And then President Biden foolishly ratcheted Trump's tariffs up.
We need a future that's made in America.
When you raise the price of steel, well, companies that use steel are going to pay more. That means fewer workers.
Economist Scott Lincecum.
Just simply mandating that stuff be made in America sounds great, but it's going to cost us a lot more.
Emily Lay's company makes designer stationery in China. She sells these planners for $64 under Trump's new tariffs.
To maintain a profit on her $64 planners, she would have to double the sticker price.
It's $120
For a planner.
I'm not paying $120 for a planner.
We have to raise prices. Victor Schwartz imports wine from all over the world.
I can't change anything. If Trump decides 200% tariffs in May, we are SOL.
He scoffs at Trump's claim that other countries pay the tariffs.
The only people paying for it are me, my customers, and consumers.
Trump says the solution is simple.
Make your product in America.
Make your product in America.
You might be able to move a semiconductor plant to Michigan, but you can't make champagne in Oregon. You can't recreate that place, the soil, the air.
Still, Trump has a point. Some countries do impose big tariffs on American goods.
Look at Canada. American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. India, 150% tariff on American alcohol.
Seems sensible to pressure them to lower their tariffs. Our tariffs will maybe get them to reduce their tariffs.
Tariffs were not an issue.
Schwartz mostly imports from Europe.
It was $4 or so a case. We sent wine over there. It was about the same. We knew what our customs and duty costs were. We had some very easy trade before these tariffs hit. And now it's kind of chaos.
Everything's going to be just fine.
Trump says, trust me, I'm making deals. And he lectures business reporters.
It must be hard for you to, spend 25 years talking about tariffs as being negative and then have somebody explain to you that you're totally wrong.
Once it gets established, the chaos will go and the bad guys will be punished and business will resume.
10% tariff, which I have to add, is on top of significant taxes and duties.
That's
the big impact.
10%.
10%. That's our cash flow, John. It's the fuel of our business.
Well,
that means we have to buy less. That means we've got less capital to work with to add new products, to hire new people. Having 10% that you got to pay up front, that's really painful.
And for some companies, those cost increases will mean the end.
We can't survive the short-term pain.
She and others are suing Trump.
She filed this lawsuit against his administration, alleging he used his emergency powers illegally to enact the fees.
If this is the end of my American dream, I'm going to go down swinging.
Schwartz is suing too, with the help of the Liberty Justice Center. Why you?
Why, mate? This is a small business killer.
We've long had borders and tariffs.
Well, yes, and those things made us poorer. We had so much evidence through the Smoot-Hawley era.
The Smoot-Hawley tariff passed in 1930.
And exacerbated the Great Depression. It caused other nations to retaliate against the things
Which
that
they
Americans
always do.
Right, always retaliate. And so it ended up just making us much, much poorer.
Other countries have already responded to Trump's moves. That's why Schwartz says, now for Trump, there's just one way out.
Admit you made a bad decision, and let's move on. That's what we do in business all the time. Free trade is really a beautiful thing.
It is. We don't notice it, and how it enriches us is almost too complicated to process. But everything we buy is cheaper and better, and America has more jobs because of free trade.
Gotta love that free trade. All right, this is 6 myths about globalization and trade.
They laughed at me when I used the pink salt trick, but after I dropped 6 pant sizes,
America first. America first.
Leaders of both parties agree we must reduce globalization.
That means using products, parts, materials built right here in the United States of America.
Why? Because apparently we're getting ripped off.
China is ripping us on trade.
Selling us stuff is hardly ripping us off.
Scott Lincecum runs the new Cato Institute project.
Defending globalization.
Defending is needed because so much of what we hear about trade and globalization is just wrong. In this video, we'll bust 6 myths. First, that idea that America is losing on trade.
We're losing on trade bigger than ever.
People often say that because of our trade deficit.
Our trade deficit with China is an immorality.
Unacceptable.
Why is it unacceptable?
It's a one-way competition and China's winning.
But we're winning too. Trade doesn't need to balance.
I have a trade deficit with my supermarket. That doesn't mean it's beating me at trade.
They get your dollars, yes, but you get food without having to grow it yourself. That win-win experience is true for everything we buy, regardless whether we buy it down the block or from Korea or Mexico.
Imports are great. It means I can focus on what I want to do for a living and not go make my own food or make my own clothes. I can buy that from somebody else. And then I can use those savings and go buy other things. That makes me better off and makes us all better off in the long run.
Every trade is a win for both parties because as long as it's voluntary, you don't do it unless both sides think they win.
Exactly.
It's why when you pay, both you and the cashier often say, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. It's win-win. But wait, I'm told buying from other countries hurts American workers.
Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas.
Thousands and thousands of miles away.
That's myth 2. Some people lose jobs.
Undeniably true. We lose about 5 million jobs every month.
But trade isn't the main reason for the job loss.
Jobs are lost due to technology. They're lost due to changing consumer tastes. They're lost from innovation. We make a lot more stuff with a lot fewer workers. That's productivity, and that's a good thing.
This constant change creates jobs faster than it kills them. And trade creates even more. Companies engaged in international trade create 60% of America's new jobs. That's why the number of Americans who have jobs has been rising, and unemployment is low.
We're at historically high manufacturing job openings. Manufacturers in the United States can't find enough workers.
And what the jobs pay is up too. Yet politicians keep saying,
We don't make anything anymore.
That's just wrong. Manufacturing output in the U.S. is actually near its all-time high. We make more than Japan, Germany, India, and South Korea combined. There are many reasons why the media get this wrong. One is that a factory closing's visible. It's easy to photograph, easy to interview victims.
After I lost my job, everything went downhill from there.
But the job creation happens in thousands of different places.
It's very difficult to write a story about broad-based economic growth.
Myth 4, trade and open markets create a race to the bottom.
Wide open markets can have a devastating effect on countries where the economy is less developed.
We're told globalization promotes child labor.
Wearing no shoes and in the most wretched conditions.
The last few decades of globalization allowed corporations to scour the planet for the cheapest labor and loosest regulations.
This race to the bottom is a myth.
But wait a sec. The company can go all around the world and look for cheap workers.
But give them jobs.
That's the key point. These people in Bangladesh making T-shirts are paid less than Americans, but they have
better lives than what they had before that company and that factory arrived.
Making T-shirts in a sweatshop must have been better than their other alternative, or they wouldn't have taken that job.
Exactly. We Americans are spoiled. We look upon the jobs in the developing world, these factory jobs, and we say, oh, how terrible this is that these people are working for such low wages. But the reality is that their alternatives in these places are far, far worse. It's subsistence farming. It's sex work. It's getting married off to a guy down the street.
Trade is what lets people in poor countries become prosperous. And when there's trade, there's less child labor.
No parent wants his kid to go into the factory or the farm. They do it because they have no choice. As we get wealthier, child labor disappears. Even developing countries now are getting so rich that low-skill manufacturing work is looked down upon by their workers. Factory owners in Vietnam complain that the kids these days want to be baristas and YouTubers and not go work in the textile factory. Now, that's not great for that factory owner, but it's great for those workers.
So great that factories in Vietnam, to keep workers, now offer employees yoga and dance classes and in-house cafes.
And it shows how globalization helps them get richer.
But what about myth 5? Globalization causes
environmental degradation. The increased transportation of goods causes greenhouse gas emissions and other pollutants.
And trees get cut down.
Raiding these resources almost as though they were limitless.
It's undeniably true that as a nation starts along its development path, that it's going to pollute more. But a wonderful thing happens. As countries get wealthy, they become better environmentally.
It's why pollution's dropping in America. Here the blue line is gross domestic product, the red is carbon emissions. The same's true for dozens of booming capitalist countries, because only when people get wealthy enough to think beyond their next meal can they afford to care about the environment.
The best thing that we can do for the developing world is to help those countries get rich, and globalization is part of that recipe.
Finally, myth 6, globalization is now over.
The U.S. tariffs have kicked in. China can't put as many tariffs on us as we can put on them.
The wheels are slowly coming off the globalization train.
But so far, that's not true either.
But if you look at the data, the fact is that trade levels in the United States and around the world are at or near all-time highs. That's just goods. When you look at things like digital trade, the ability to stream Squid Game on Netflix, all of that is increasing at exponential rates.
Trade brings us more stuff at lower prices and gives us more choices. Choices made by us, not by politicians.
Reality is that trade and globalization at its most fundamental level are just about people doing business with other people.
And the more people we trade with, the better off we are. Globalization is win-win. Trade's win-win.
Free trade. This is why you must have free trade. Let's go to one more stossel. Back to
when
the
I started drinking
Stone
warm
Age.
water to help me lose weight, my friend laughed at me. But when they saw how fat
The new machines
That's the
used
third
by
scam
some American
phone I
ports
got.
are remarkable.
Containers are lowered onto trailers, and within seconds, those trucks drive off. They know where to turn, where to drive, and there are no humans in sight.
No humans is why some union longshoremen are mad.
Thousands of union dock workers across the country are striking for the first time in nearly 50 years.
Our main focus right now is automation.
Automation. We can't have automation.
They are demanding a total
I
ban on
can't-
automated cranes.
can't have automation.
And container moving trucks.
They paused their strike when they got a raise, But Union President Harold Daggett says we'll strike again in January unless we get a total ban on automation.
If I don't get that, I'm not coming back to the table.
He's clear about how closing his ports will hurt American workers.
Guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job.
He doesn't care because his only priority is how do I enhance my special interest group.
Economist Leah Poligashvili.
They're saying, we don't care if these other jobs are destroyed as long as we get what we want.
But there's a cluelessness to his demands because banning automation will also hurt his members.
They'll save some jobs today, but they'll destroy a lot more jobs in the future.
Because Daggett's union only controls East and Gulf Coast ports, and shippers now have choices. They'll just send the stuff to automated ports.
Yeah, that's right. Over the long run, we're actually going to see less business and less activity in the Stone Age ports.
You call them Stone Age ports?
Well, they want to ban, for example, opening and closing of port doors.
They want to have guys pulling the...
Yes, they want to have guys opening and closing the doors, by themselves.
It's so absurd. I want to yell at him. You're killing your own business. And even though he rightly complains about safety.
The jobs on the waterfront are very dangerous. We've had 17 people killed in the last 3 years.
But that's an argument for automation.
We just had a kid killed in Houston.
Why does he go on like that? He's arguing against himself. I see why he wouldn't agree to an interview. Automation, by having machines do dangerous jobs, will make his ports safer.
If you care about the safety of these workers, you should enhance their jobs and make them safer and better. And the only way you can do that is with technological advancements and automation.
And there's lots of room for improvement.
America has some of the least efficient ports in the world.
Not a single American port ranks in the top 50 worldwide.
U.S. ports are, generally speaking, much less efficient. There's several explanations to it. Number one is lack of automation.
Other countries have used automated cranes for years. They're 80% faster than human-operated cranes used at some American ports.
The best ports in the world are Asian and kind of Middle Eastern ports. They allow for innovation and technological advancements. If you look at videos of Chinese ports, they're actually sitting behind a computer screen and directing the port activity through the computer screen, and that you might say.
So what happens is the job goes from manual, the guys are opening and closing doors and that, to then they become computer guys who are doing it with the computers. They make more money. It's a safer job. It's win-win. But then they got to get educated to run the computer as opposed to being manual where let me open the door and let me drive this and drive that. That's what productivity does. So these guys would have bitched about the horse and buggy. Well, no, we can't have cars. I mean, and how would that? But then look at all the people that work for car companies, and not only in the plant, but finance and IT and marketing and everything else. That's why you want automation. It increases productivity, which really increases your pay. I used to work at the grocery store. Now, I was going to school at the time, and I did get my degree, but I was there making $10.32 an hour, and that was the most I could make, and I had to unload trucks and put popping beer on the shelves. Now, I'm not saying it's automated. Maybe it is, but I don't think so. I still see people there, but it allowed me to then increase and get a master's in finance and economics and teach you all this and learn this and go, hey, gold's the thing to buy and silver and Madoff and all this other. So you learn all this and increases your productivity, which increases your wealth. And now I can sit at home and if I work, I work. If I don't, I'll wait for my gold to go up. But that's really the difference. So you want increased productivity, and then you want to get the IT job. It's not hard to learn IT. It's pretty simple. It's a lot like what I do here. It would be like automating how I analyze football games, right? Which I created spreadsheets and I got to manually put the numbers in, but it then gives me what I'm looking for in the football. So the spreadsheets help me automate to to find the trends and pick the games easier than if I didn't have Excel. All right, let's go back here.
That's a better job.
I bet there are fewer of them.
Some poor jobs will definitely be lost, but that's not a bad thing. You look at it historically, we had hundreds of thousands of blacksmiths and candle makers and watchmakers.
Those jobs and many others were destroyed by new technology. But unemployment didn't surge. New jobs emerged that people then hadn't imagined. Pilots, programmers, mechanics, electricians, medical technicians. That's capitalism's creative destruction. It constantly creates new jobs, and that makes most everyone richer.
Support the coalition of obsolete industries?
Under the union's logic, we should have banned things like flush toilets.
I used to have to clean people's toilets, empty them from the alleyway behind the house, and now flushing toilets and plumbing has taken away my job.
Electricity has taken over my profession. If we don't stop progress, how will anyone ever have jobs?
That's what the media sound like when they cover automation.
Close to 50% of the workforce being completely eliminated, as in no more jobs for them.
You get this media bias where you focus on the one worker who lost their job.
After I lost my job, everything went downhill from there. Because the media can see the lost jobs.
That's right.
The media are bad at paying attention to all the new jobs that replace them.
That reporter doesn't follow up with the worker 2 years later, but research does. And research shows that that worker then gets a new job.
And on average, better job.
They do better jobs and higher wages.
Higher wages because innovation helps people do more. Look at construction.
Introduction of bulldozers, crane trucks, and all these tools have made the construction industry and the construction workers better off. It's more efficient and more productive, and the real wages of those construction workers increase.
Machines got to stop. By fighting machines, union leaders don't protect workers. They hold us all back from a safer, wealthier future.
Oh, these are the automated ones.
Thanks for watching this. You gotta love Stossel. He's the man. All right. Here's a good one by Thomas Sowell. This is a quick one.
In reflecting on why I stopped voting for clown elections with clown candidates, the issues are clear. The system has become rigged by incentives that reward mediocrity, shield incumbents, and restrict genuine choice. From the erosion of personal responsibility and meritocracy to the monopolistic grip of the two-party system, the current electoral process is deeply flawed. Only by demanding accountability, embracing meaningful reforms, and returning to the principles of competition and merit can we hope to rebuild a political system that truly serves the public interest. Can we hope to reclaim the promise of democracy and ensure that our leaders are chosen for their competence and integrity rather than their ability to perform for the cameras.
Hello, my name is Adam.
And that's what we do right now. It's who looks better. It used to be like, oh, John F. Kennedy looked better, so he got elected. U.S. demands China opens its markets. The markets are open. We're getting a lot of stuff from them. I love when she smiles at it. And this is an interesting one on Trump and Ukraine and Russia.
Russia doesn't want the strip that they have now. Russia wants all of Ukraine. And if it weren't me, they would keep going.
I guess this is the type of misstatement of which you spoke a few minutes ago, because, Colonel, you have told us, and so has almost everybody else on this program, that there is not a scintilla of evidence that Putin wants all of Ukraine. In fact, there's much evidence to indicate to the contrary.
Yeah, I mean, the tragedy here is that President Trump a few weeks ago said something very different. And he recognized that Ukraine was going to have to give something up in order to end this war. But at no point did he suggest what he did in this last statement. I think, again, President Trump is far too easily influenced by the last person that spoke with him. You cannot run a country this way. You can't govern this way. You cannot conduct foreign and defense policy
not leading.
this way.
How on earth can his emissaries, whether it's Kellogg or Woodcoff, have any credibility in the Kremlin? And what on earth does the Kremlin think when they hear something like that?
Well, General Kellogg has no credibility anyway. The Russians regard him as a sort of a cartoon character cutout. Mr. Witkoff was taken seriously. I doubt now that he will ever be taken seriously again. And I think that Mr. Witkoff probably did the best he could to represent what he thought President Trump's views were. But as we've just found out, his views then and his views now are not the same. So again, there's a problem that the president has with these tendencies to vacillate between one position and the other. And that is a prescription for disaster. It's a prescription for conflict and crisis. So at this point, I think we have become irrelevant. The notion that he would say that if it were not for him, that the Russians would be fighting for all of Ukraine is ludicrous nonsense. It's delusional narcissism. It's a very dangerous thing. I mean, I like the man, and I liked many of his views when I thought he made sense, which was very different several years ago from what I'm hearing now. But this is just nonsense. But it's dangerous because it leads people to assume that we are as reckless as a teenager with TikTok.
Every senior deserves to know this new benefit from the state. And once.
Let's see. Those are a lot of the videos I wanted to show you yesterday. Here's the thing on McDonald's I was telling you about.
Nearly 80% of Americans now say that fast food is a luxury because it has become so expensive. And as a result, they're eating it less often. That's stats from a Lending Tree survey done last year. And since then, it's only gotten worse.
Eating away from home is about 30% more expensive than it was in 2019. But now a lot of these restaurants realize they really just can't raise prices anymore. I think customers are at a breaking point.
The latest earnings report from McDonald's, Wendy's, Domino's, and even Chipotle revealed just how much consumers are pushing back against the cost of fast food today.
As surveys show, more than 60% of people saying they've been shocked by a fast food bill and are going less frequently.
It's crazy. Prices of food, restaurant is at all-time high, in my opinion.
Now, I've covered in the past why these fast food companies had begun panicking over their higher prices. It wasn't too hard to see that the current landscape was going to be more problematic for them.
The fast food value wars are showing no signs of slowing down in 2025. New offers, even drone deliveries, a response to win back bargain-hungry consumers fed up with sticker shock.
But since then, more to the story has unfolded because it appears consumers have moved from complaining to finally no longer buying it. So in this video, we're going to unpack how years of price hikes and cost cutting have backfired against the fast food industry and why.
Well, basically, we can already give that answer. You are over market. I will pay you $5 for a hamburger at McDonald's. Now you want me to pay $9. It's the same thing as in China. It's the same thing everywhere. You cannot sell things over market. That is why it's critical to understand the market and not anticipate that the market will just, I'll give a price increase and everybody will pay it. They need McDonald's. No, that's why I go to my hamburger place, my hamburger grocery store. It's a little more expensive for most things, but not meat for some reason. I can get hamburger for $5.50 for ground sirloin or ground the 86%. And I get 3 pounds and it's $15 and I make about 3 hamburgers a pound. So I make 9 hamburgers. At McDonald's, it would be, let's times them by 7 to be $63 and I get them for $15. That's called substitution. I'm not sure if it's substitution, but I'm being productive and going to a different place. So instead of buying them at McDonald's because they're ready, guess what? I got an oven. I cook. I do like 2 pounds a piece because my feet start hurting. So I do like 5 hamburgers, and then I wait a week and I might cook the other 5. I just did that. So now I cook the 5 on a Sunday and they're ready. And then Monday I have 1. I put them in my omelet. They're incredible. But that's what I do. Or you can get, the other thing is to get these roast. You ever get they have like a London broil roast, and they're like $6 or $7 a pound, but they're like 3 pounds. So you make the roast, you put it in the oven for like an hour 10 at like 310, and there's not a lot of marinating, a little olive oil and a little salt and pepper, cayenne, and you cook it, and then guess what? You have 3 pounds of beef, and you cut it up, and it's like you got 10 hamburgers or 12 hamburgers to eat for the next few days, in the next week. So that's what I do. But that's, I got to be careful with my feet on it. That's why I tend to buy 2 pounds of hamburger and 2 pounds, because if I get to 3 pounds, I tend to, then I got to eat 9, 10 hamburgers in 3 or 4 days, and it's too much on my feet. But if I can do 2 and I eat like 4 over 3 days, it lets it clean my system out. And that's why I do my 70-hour fast. I got to eat something, and I have too much, and then I want to clean house. But that's what everything is about, is McDonald's and Wendy's, and they have priced themselves out of their own market. So they create, is there a niche for fast food? Oh, yes, there are. And this is back in the 70s. McDonald's was 50 cents for a burger. It's slow. That's what inflation is. 50 cents in the 70s, probably $6 or $7 now for a fucking hamburger that you don't even know if it's meat. And McDonald's, all their food kills you. The fries, the bun, they're all processed food. That's what you stay away from on a diet, is the processed food. McDonald's, Wendy's, most restaurants don't cook. Like when I'm home and I'm cooking chicken or ribs or a steak or hamburgers, it's in olive oil. It's not in canola oil, which is terrible for you. It's with my spices. My salt is the Celtic salt and the cayenne pepper. I'm eating very healthy, and garlic. Garlic is a very important spice that you need to eat. I was watching something on that yesterday. It cleans everything. It totally cleans house. So keep an eye on garlic. You want to put that on when you cook. And I'm going to make an omelet. It's all the nice spices and in olive oil. It's extremely healthy, and it's much cheaper. At the Coney Island, they want $10, $11 for a 3-egg omelet. Well, let's see. I got 18 eggs for like $6. Let's say I get 12 eggs. A dozen's like $4.80. Let's call it $5. So I got a dozen. So I can make 3, 6, 9. I can make 4 omelets for $5. That they want $10 an omelet. So I get 4 omelets. It's going to cost me $40. It cost me $4. It's stuff like that frees you up to go buy gold and silver and to buy other things. But that's really the point that's economics for you, what I try to teach. Are the Teamsters still the biggest union in America now? I thought the teachers were, possibly the Teamsters. But I know it used to be the teachers were the worst union, because the crap they teach. I would not, if I have a kid, I tell Alyssa, she's got like a 7-year-old. I says, I would not be in public school with her. There's no fucking way I'd be sending her to public school. No way. So we'll see, but let's see what else there is. But that's really what it is. McDonald's is overpriced. And if they need to cut their price, they need to find their market. And if people are just not going, they'll be out of business. Just like Burger King. I did see a Burger King the other day. They're hurting. But that's why stores go out. Their prices go up and they can't sell things. They got to raise their price, and they raise it over market. All of the economy, and Adam Smith is what is the market? What is Say's law? Supply creates demand. We make our money, but we're going to trade it with you at what we feel is a fair trade. McDonald's, Burger King, Rite Aid, CVS. And if you want to charge me more than I'm willing to trade with you, just like I said, if this card's $1,000 and I'm trying to sell it for $2, there's no buyers because there's no market for it, right? So if I'm over my market, I can't sell it. I can only sell it where there's a market. I got to find out where the market. That's the hard part of business. And then thinking you can do a price increase just shows me you're an idiot. That's what Keynesians are. Well, we'll just increase prices and we'll force people to pay. People won't pay. People don't. The only thing you have to pay is I need a house and I need electricity. I need clothes. But one thing Jenna didn't, like this is an old, but it's a polo shirt. It's a nice shirt, but it's polo, but it's old. And so she's bitching. I'm going, well, why would I get rid of it? I have a shirt now. I don't need a new shirt. So that's the key to it. Why get rid of it? It's clean, it's nice, it's comfortable. Why am I getting rid of the shirt? Because now I got to go buy a new one that is over market. It's far more than what I paid for it. So that's what you got to be careful of. You never hear about the Teamsters anymore. I don't know. I don't listen to it. So I'm following gold and silver. So let's take a look at what the fuck's going on with our gold and silver. Silver's not really dropping. That's the ironic part. They're dumping gold because they want to buy it cheap. Let's see. Gold's at 31.87. So you can see the big derivative from 32.37 at approximately 8 o'clock. This is Europe leaving, and it goes all the way down because there's no buyers in there to 31.73. It's kind of come up a little, but not as far as I would have thought. Now China should raise it. So China was at 32.30. That's what I'm expecting. But what happened to 33 and what happened to 34? And again, it's being down because this is not fiscal. McDonald's is a market, right? I'm selling a product, you're buying it. So as long as the seller and the buyer are buying it, it's a market. This is not a market because there is no buyer and seller for physical gold. This is a market of paper gold, and that's why we laugh at it. We know the price isn't close to reality. That's why I tell you to buy as much as you can because this is not a real price. And yet the gold stores and the other places use this price to sell it at. And you're like, what are you out of your mind? There is no way silver's 32.26 and there's no way gold's 31.86. You got to be kidding me. So, you can't worry about gold. Within a month, it'll be 3,400. So you don't really look at what's going on each day or what's causing this. The drop is not caused by people not buying physical gold. And that's what we're focused on, physical gold. We don't give a fuck about the derivative gold and the paper gold. We do not buy ETFs. We do not buy gold stocks. We do not buy anything but real physical coins, bars, silver. That's what we buy, the physical stuff. And that you cannot print, and you will never see the price drop once we get rid of that, which is what Russia and China are sitting there with these markets for physical. You got to give them a bar, and they give you, and if you don't give them a bar, there's no sell. That's what China and Russia are doing. And they're already out with their stable coins that are gold backed. So that is happening with COMEX 3186. So really, you don't pay attention. Please don't panic that the price is 3186. There's plenty of buyers. So my being an INFJ, as you know I am, which is virtually half psychic, pretty much. I can feel things, and intuition's very, very strong. My thought of what's going on here is this is the calm before the storm. This is the Titanic hitting the iceberg. And people haven't registered yet that the ship's going to sink. Oh, it can't sink. It's unsinkable. And what's happening here is the calm before the storm. People are lining up to buy, but they're putting it on sale for the bigger hitters to buy the gold. And this way it was 34 and change. So it's down almost $300. That's strictly for the bigger guns to buy, because now they realize they need gold. They realize the dollar's worthless, because we kept bitching, why isn't Warren Buffett and Gates and all these idiots buying gold? And it's like now they're buying it, but they're going to pay $3,500. So they're trying to lower the price for them to buy it. And my gut says you're going to see this big wave of buying coming before July 1st, but between now and July 1st, there'll be a big wave coming. And that's really what it is. And I feel that because it's controlled by the derivatives, the price, they're shorting the derivatives to get the price down. Why are we using this as the price? Why would you use a paper derivative system to price physical? I don't really understand how stupid these people are. Hey, that's paper. That's you want to do options? Go ahead. That's not what the real physical price is. So you need a separate mechanism to price the physical. But we haven't done that because JP Morgan's in charge of it. And I don't know how much they're making, but when people take delivery of this, they're going to have to come up with physical gold to do it. And they're not going to find it because there's not enough physical gold out. So in my opinion, what's happening is 31.86, 32.26 in silver. Some of you guys thought it would be 100 to 1, but it's not. I mean, then it would be 31.86. So gold will go up. We're not really worried about it. You can't, because you can't print it. The reason is you can't print it, right? This you can print to zero, and that's what's happened, but you can't print gold. And it's amazing how stupid these guys who talk gold are. You heard Peter Schiff for a minute talk about the whole tariff and trade imbalance. He doesn't understand it. There is no trade imbalance. And that's why I showed you a few of the Stoffel ones. We are buying Nikes for $100. We are trading our $100 for the Nikes. Where's the trade imbalance? The trade's even money. You give me $100 pair of Nikes, and I give you $100 in cash. Tell me where the imbalance is. Oh, I'm supposed to sell you $100 with that. Oh, they're tariffing us, and now we can't sell to the Chinese. You can't afford half our products, and we can't compete with them anyway. And how much are really the tariffs? So the fact that somebody tariffed you, who gives a shit? Because the consumer here, our labor's too expensive. So we can't compete with anybody in the world except for mutual funds and, bank stocks, BlackRock and that. That's the only thing we can compete in. We can't compete manufacturing. We can compete making cars, but nobody wants them anyway. Germany does not want a Ford or GM. They got Mercedes and BMW and Audi. Same thing in Russia. If anybody in the mafia who has money is buying Mercedes and Audi, they are not buying Ford and GM. You don't see any of those in Russia. And that's the thing. We're going to sell a Ford in China. They don't. Not only can they not afford it, they don't want it. So again, you're reaching into a market where there's no demand. Japan, they're buying Toyota and Honda. They're not buying Ford and GM. So you're trying to sell when there's no market, but then you're saying, well, it's because of the tariffs. Well, it's not because of the tariffs. It's just you can't compete because Japan has their cars are better, but we don't care. As long as we can sell in America, that's fine. To think that Japan and China want to buy our products, maybe, but if you make something that they want, but the product that makes the most sense is the dollar and the stocks. That's what you're selling, is the stocks and houses, which they're not talking about. So the guys who get rich in China and Russia and Japan, they buy houses here. They put their money in our stock market. That's the instruments they buy. They don't want our cars or our gym shoes or our golf clubs, maybe, if we even make golf clubs here. So it's things like that where that's the trade they're doing. That's what they want. Those are the American products. They don't want our gym shoes and our shirts. Maybe polo they want, and where's polo made? I don't know. I'll have to take my shirt off to see, but most of the clothes is not made in America. So, and it's okay. Like the guy said with champagne, we're not going to sell champagne. We can't even make champagne here to France, but who cares? We want to get the champagne from France. We enjoy it. It's tasty. Asti Spumani or whatever comes from France. So they make a unique thing, and we're not going to sell it to them because we can't even make it. So how many things are made here that people even want? The Americans might want it. So you have your own market, but who cares about tariffs? So all you're doing is fucking up the whole economy. Leave it alone, Trump. Get the fuck off. He's listening to the Scott guy from George Soros. So George Soros is running our economy into the ground, and my bet is on purpose. And Trump, like an idiot, doesn't understand. But if he was there, there wouldn't be a war. I love that. If I was there wouldn't even be a war with Ukraine. And I'm going to end it in one day. Well, that was in January. We're now in March. It's now January, February, March, April, May. It's now 5 months, Trump. And the war's still going on. And now you think Russia wants all of Europe. Where are you getting that from? They don't. They wanted the 4 cities, Donetsk and that island, and then Kharkov and maybe Odessa. That's all they want, are those 4 or 5 cities, because they're got the mineral and the oil, and they're Russian cities. That's it. They don't want the rest of Ukraine's nothing. I've been there. It's just farmland as far as the eye can see. It's like driving to Toronto from Detroit. It's just farmland. And then you run into a gas station once in a while. Anyway, let's see what else we can share. China's $18 trillion collapse. I showed you that. China cut US $500 billion in trade. I love how they keep showing Z smiling. I showed you this one on this last week. Carl Jung's a psychiatrist type of person. Truth about most women, they're just different than men, and they just they really are looking for the friend that they always talk to. In Jenna's case, Natasha. So they're looking to be able to talk to you, that if they do, they're scared that if they tell you, I got into a fender bender and it's going to cost $100, that you're going to get mad. And that's, so you have to be understanding to women and go, it's okay. It's fender bender. It's $100. Fine. They can't be afraid to tell you things. That's when the relationship blows up. And as long as they feel safe with you, which Daria does with me, she can say anything. And I'm like, that's fine. Not the end of the world. We got gold. Move on. I don't care. And that's really what you're trying to do. All right, let's go to is there anything here? See, I watched this Ray Dalio guy. He's an idiot. Gold isn't a good investment. I don't think I have to play that for you. He's saying diversify, and I'm saying you don't diversify. You don't want to be in paper. You don't want to be in stocks, real estate trust, annuities, because the dollar. See, if Ray Dalio was smart, he'd realize this is worthless. And if this is worthless, I don't want to be in the stock market or anything to do with the dollar. It's worthless. The economy is going to blow up. So therefore, I must be into gold and silver, irrespective of the comex paper price of it. I still know that's the best game in town. So I don't want to diversify. I want everything in gold and silver. Why would I want to be in stock market? For what? Or Bitcoin or any of those? Why would I want to be in those? They're all paper related. And as I say with the Titanic, if you're on deck 2, 3, or 4, guess what? The whole boat's sinking. And that's what the whole boat's sinking. Why do I want to diversify? It's like saying, well, yeah, we'll be in a lifeboat, but we also want to be on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th deck as the boat's going down. And you're like,
yes, there's a light, flavorful mist that's released from Palmer.
Shut the fuck up. Let's see. I watched Mission Impossible 5 on YouTube. Not too bad. It's not really loud enough. So you turn it up and then the commercial comes on and it's really loud. But that was okay. They don't show 5, 6, and is there 7? They don't show them enough. They keep showing the first 4. Well, yeah, okay, I got it. I don't need to watch them. The one thing with Mission Impossible is I'm getting confused if I'm watching James Bond or Mission Impossible. There is a James Bond where they all met at the Austrian Symphony, right? Where we have our gold coin. And so there's a James Bond in the symphony. And now Mission Impossible 5, they go to the Austrian Symphony or whatever to watch an opera, the opera house. The girl from Mission Impossible is in James Bond. It's in England. To me, I don't know if I didn't know the title. I don't know which movie I'm watching. So I don't know if Mission Impossible is stealing from James Bond or James Bond stealing from Mission Impossible. It's the same fucking storyline. Unbelievable. So we talked about Trump wanting all over Ukraine. That's dog doo-doo. The Undertaker talking about Gorilla Monsoon. Now that was a good one. China rejects U.S. ultimatum. The Rock returns, calls out Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now that's highly worth watching. That's that. But if I play it, I'll probably get shot down for it. It's one of the millions. Always good to see The Rock. Then I watched this moron. Gold just woken up, but silver might be the real explosion. But he's only going by charts. He doesn't understand. See, what's the difference between me and everybody else? I explain this is worthless, right? That's the point. I don't use charts because they're meaningless. I use this. And I say, this is inflated. This is worthless. Go to the grocery store. Everything's $6 now for Lucky Charms. That's this having no value. And therefore, gold and silver are going to go up because it's the only option for a sinking ship because of this. Do you see me showing you charts? So this idiot sits there and he goes, well, gold and silver are going to go up. And then he's showing charts. Charts aren't going to raise it because he doesn't have the right variables. The variables is BRICS, creating highly demand. The inflation of the dollar in the whole world is increasing demand for the gold. That's why gold's going up. You can't see it in a chart, because of these variables. And yet this guy will sit there and show the chart, and you're like, what the fuck? She's okay, but she misses the point. Gold, tariffs in the U.S.-China trade reset. Gold sees through the lies. Basically, is you can't inflate gold, which is what I say all the time. You can't print it. Ric Flair wooing. Ric Flair's a sad tale. He's broke. He tried doing opening his own companies up, but he doesn't know what to do. Here's another. Wrestlers who lost everything after, and there's Ric Flair crying. And the biggest thing I can say is, if I'm Ric Flair, I'm a brand. What should he have? He should have ran to Rolex and said, let me be a sponsor. And they would have loved him, because he says, I'm a Rolex wearing guy. Go to limousine companies. I ride in limousine. And just use his appeal to sell things. Go to the be in marketing, market products, because you're Ric Flair. He tried marketing woo. But he doesn't he tried doing businesses that he has no idea what he's doing. He's not educated. So he can talk a good game. So that's good. You'd want him as your spokesman, but that's it. Basically, he doesn't know how to woo. Let's see, anything else? All right, I think that's about it. Anyway, Russia's clearly winning the war. So Jenna moved. I talked to her for her birthday, and she moved from Neverprenesk to where'd she move to? Odessa. Odessa's on the Black Sea. It's on the west side of the country. So if this is the country, and here's Russia. Russia's right here. So most of what Russia wants is Kharkov and Donetsk and the island that I can't think of. But over here is Odessa on the Black Seas here. And that's where Odessa's at. And we went to Odessa for vacation. And but I think Putin wants that, but I'm not sure. It is a Russian city, so she's living there now. I said, well, is it any better? She says, no, it's still war here, still dangerous. I don't know how she lives there, but anyway, she's working at a bank now, so I'm happy for her, so she doesn't keep asking me for money. But that's it. So, it was good. It was her birthday. She's like, where have you been? Why haven't you talked to me in 6 months? And I stayed stoic. And I said, well, I didn't like the way you treated me on the trip. You were kind of rude to me. And I didn't think so. But since it's your birthday, I'll talk to you. And she never really responded to it, but that was okay. I was honest. I didn't make up a lie. She said, because of the war. And I said, no, because you treated me so shittily on the trip, because she kept saying, Positano. Or you have a stain on your shirt. Oh, my God. I'm like, who gives a fuck? It's about me getting you out of the Ukraine, and being on a beach on the Caribbean in Italy should be your main concern. And boy, in World War II, it would have been hard to take Italy because of those cliffs. I mean, we had to walk down like it took 5 minutes at least, maybe 10 minutes to walk from the road all the way down to the beach, and it curves and everything. And, if you're trying to take a hill in World War II, good luck. That would have been a rough thing to try to take. That's like the Guns of Navarone. They have to climb the hill, and that's about what it was. Anyway, baseball, our games are San Francisco over 8.5, the Mets, the Cubbies over 7.5, Texas and Oakland over 8.5. NBA, I'm going to take the Knicks with this guy out for Boston, but I'm a little leery. I only like them because they're the dog, but Boston it's in a must win. And normally I would take Boston, but I don't know how the injury is going to happen. And then I liked, I think it was OKC. No, I don't know. Let's take a look. What was the other one? Let's see if gold's moving up. No, 31.83. It's amazing. Gold's just sitting there like yesterday. It sat at about 32.40 the whole afternoon. I thought it would shoot back up to 33. All right, let's see. Yeah, it's Minnesota minus 10.5 with Steph Curry out. They want to end the series. They're at home, and Boston, New York. Normally would be Boston, but with the injury, I'll take New York in 4.5. It's do or die for Boston, so I don't like betting against the do or dies. So Boston could certainly win the game, but they've only won one, and that tells me they're just not a very good team, and it's a very bad matchup. And I think the Knicks probably want to end the series. So the Knicks, very, very small, Minnesota to get Golden State out. And that's what's happening. Well, let's look at the market. And the stock market is up $5. No, it isn't. That's at 11:30. The Dow was down 132 to 42,000. What it's doing at 42,000, I have no idea. Then it lists all these stocks, and it blows my mind. Boeing's at 205, JP Morgan's at 265. They're about to go broke. Goldman Sachs 607. They're going to go broke when the silver goes broke. Microsoft at 450. Are you kidding me? So none of these stocks are priced properly. Maybe Visa at 355. Nike's 62. McDonald's at 307. Why would McDonald's be at 307? How can it possibly be worth 307? They're closing. They can't sell the prices. People aren't going. And yet it's 307. None of these prices are reality. This is why I don't play the stock market. 3M 147, Cisco 61, Sherwin-Williams. Everybody's painting now. 352 for Sherwin-Williams. Are you fucking kidding me? So there's big problems there. Anyway, I think that's it. So again, tariffs are pure poison. You'll have a recession and a depression every single time you do a tariff. Let's face it, these countries that are tariffing us, what does it mean if I'm, let's say I'm Japan and I'm tariffing you on your cars? My citizens have to pay more for the Honda and the Toyota. That's the problem. So it doesn't benefit the company by making tariffs. So all these countries that are tariffing us, they're hurting. They're all going bankrupt. Don't think it's paradise. China is broke. Japan is broke. India is broke. Most of these countries are broke. So I don't really get the like, well, they're tariffing us. It's okay. They're broke too because their population has to pay more for the goods. You've killed the competition. Here, there's competition. China or Vietnam or India or us sell and we get the best price. Or maybe China's that much cheaper, so we buy it. But if I'm in China and I want to buy U.S. good, it's probably way more expensive. And so I don't buy it. There's no competition. People have to pay more, and they're fucked. And that's why they're broke. It's not hard to figure. You always want free trade and you always want competition. And the fact these countries are tariffing is not benefiting them. Why we're tariffing back is because we're a bunch of idiots. We've got Trump, who should fire himself, and George Soros running it. Don't kid yourself. This Scott Barrows guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's a Keynesian. He's not an economist, so that's real smart, having a non-economist in your Treasury Secretary. Jesus Christ, what a fucking idiot move. But then you got George Soros there somewhere. I don't know. And you got Elon Musk. Well, what's he going to find government waste today? You know what? It doesn't matter. You'll never get rid of government waste. They'll just figure a different way to rob everybody. But that's what you got. You got a government spending trillions of dollars. How much of it is really money being spent? None. None of it's needed. The only thing that's needed is, is a government. Again, most of this state stuff should be handled at the state level. Police, the roads, and the roads should be privatized. But I'm in Michigan. Michigan should handle most of the stuff. What does the federal government need to do? Keep the money clear, which they don't. Keep the laws fair, which they don't. Free trade, which they don't. Keep the money good. Keep it gold, which they don't. So the real purpose of the government, they're not doing any of it. But why are they spending all this money? And then they wonder why they go broke. All the governments will always go broke because they expand their government and it costs money. Government does not produce revenue, right? Mr. Canadian Club, I sell it. I get money back for it. But what does the government sell that makes money? They don't sell anything. Don't kid you, they don't sell any military stuff. The defense contractor might sell, a tank, but somebody's got to buy it. Is that the government? So where does the government produce revenue? It doesn't, but it eats a lot of cost. So you keep paying these costs. You wonder why you get a $37 trillion debt that you can never pay back. And then on top, the cherry on top is you don't have any gold. Who the fuck's running this place? Bozo the clown? But Trump sounds like a moron. The more he talks, the stupider he sounds. Now, I'm not a Biden guy, and I'm not Kamala Harris. I would have moved to Russia. Trump, I never liked because he kept saying you're fired, which I thought was rude and disrespectful. You're trying to get a job from him, and the way if my guy at Tenneco said you're fired, I'd have beat the hell out of him. So he said, we've eliminated your position because of money. Oh, okay. Then it's not personal. But if you say you're fired, yeah, we would have had a fight. Yeah, because that's just rude, disrespectful, and I don't tolerate that. Anyway, I think that's about it. So don't worry about gold, please. Certainly don't worry about silver. The amazing part is silver's not going anywhere. It went from 33 to 32.40. I mean, it's gone down 60 cents, but gold's really tanked. And again, it's just derivative selling, which my gut instinct says it's because people want to buy it. And this is the calm before the storm. As we can see, the storm is getting very, very close to blowing up here. And the gold price is going to really zoom, and that's going to happen soon. Maybe they want people to panic and sell their gold to get into stocks or something, but don't sell an ounce of your gold. Just give it a couple of weeks. It'll be back to 3,400 on its way to 4,500. That will still happen. Again, what they're doing, they're just playing games. Mark McGuire should have this on Friday. we'll hear what Mark's saying. But that's why I like Mark McGuire. He explains what the hell is going, why is it dropping, and it's just they're just selling it. There's got to be a buyer, and the buyer's got to be asking for delivery. They're going to want physical gold, which you can't get. So I don't really understand this whole derivative, the whole short going on. Again, watching the movie The Big Short and watching the movies Attack on Wall Street and the one with Die Hard 3 guy in it, Jeremy Irons. You notice how it went bankrupt, and then they're left, the music stopping, and they got to sell it. And that's what you see on Attack on Wall Street. And that's what you see in all three movies. The mortgages were breaking, but they were still they weren't broke yet. And then Attack on Wall Street, the same thing. Well, we got to save our firm. We got to dump it. So he dumped it. The Home Alone guy dumped it. Jeremy Irons dumped it, but not at first. Once they realized that they were going to lose their firm because the value is zero, because nobody can pay their mortgages, because nobody should have got the mortgages. So it took a little bit of time from the time they're dumping to the time that it dropped. And I think that's what's happening in gold. From the time they're dumping it until the time gold explodes. Because once gold explodes, if you're holding derivatives, you're fucked. So I think that's probably what it is. So you got JP Morgan holding probably shorts at, let's say, 3,200, and they need to get out of them, and probably at 3,300. So they're getting out now, because once it goes, they won't be able to get out of them. Once it hits 4,500, you're not going to see 3,000 anymore. So I think that's a big part of it, is they're getting out before all hell breaks loose, before the ship finally sinks. So you're in the gold in the lifeboat. They can't print it. We just need a physical price, which we got BRICS, we got Russia, China, and Dubai coming out with physical exchanges that they already got out. BRICS is already out with the gold-backed currency. That's already, China's already using it. Russia, I believe, has started to use it, or it's coming out soon. So we will see. Profit. He has no interest in paying off this $37 trillion budget. Well, it doesn't matter if he's got an interest. He's got to pay it off. You cannot ignore it and not pay it. So let's say you have you owe 20 grand on a credit card, and you don't pay it. Do you think there's nothing that happens, or do you think you're bankrupt? Right? You can't just ignore it. That's not an option here, because you owe it to China and you owe it to Russia, and it's your own economy. And if you don't pay it, then there's assets that then lose the value. Then the dollar goes to zero. Your dollar's worthless if you don't pay it. There is consequences. This is not, well, I don't feel like paying it and I'm the government, so I won't. That's not an option. I don't know why people think, well, we just won't pay it. That's not an option. You owe it to people. You owe it to the Chinese, the Japanese, all these countries that bought your debt, then the Federal Reserve. And if you don't pay it back, the assets are worthless. The money's worthless. And that's when gold really goes through the roof. So I don't know where you're getting that from, but that is not an option. Or they'll come out with new money and then say, okay, yeah, you're $37 trillion. Yeah, but we don't have, this is no longer our money. Now we have, this is our money, So now we're using a new note, and at 37, but the dollar will have collapsed. Look at Germany, right? So Germany defaulted, right? Look what happened to them. They got Hitler. And he was smart enough to get gold. So they're at the end of the moral of the story is gold is our friend. We like gold. So don't think of that. Just buy. If we default, gold goes even higher, because nobody will trust the dollar. How are we going to do business if we default on our debt? Oh, I got U.S. money. I don't want that. So no, that's not an option. They can do it. It's not an option. It's not a good option anyway. All right, everybody. Well, have a good day. Don't worry about the gold. Again, it's a derivative price, the calm before the storm. It's about to break out, and people are getting out of their last little derivatives. And that's it. And then the buying will start taking place by the BRICS people soon. All right. Anything else? I went through baseball, went through basketball. And that's it. I'm curious. I will look for what Trump's doing in Saudi Arabia with Larry Fink and the Ben David or whatever the guy's name is in Saudi Arabia. He's the Prince of Saudi Arabia. So we'll keep an eye on. I'll look for some stories there. We should start hearing today. They were there yesterday, I guess. And Trump kept kissing ass like Larry Fink, and I'm like, I go, what's Larry Fink doing in Saudi Arabia? Trying to sell him some BlackRock? Yeah, we'll see how that works. And then when they go bankrupt, they'll kill him. That's the best thing that could happen to us. All right. Anything else before I leave? Okay. www.teaserking.com. You got your baseball. Good luck betting that. Buy your gold, especially now. Go run and buy gold. It's sale of the century. Silver's waiting for us. Buy that if you can't afford the gold. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day. See you tomorrow.